Good morning, YouTube's it's, daily vlog number 7. Just gonna talk about 2 things today. One, I want to talk about appreciating the little things when you don't get them. And 2, I'll talk a little bit about tomorrow's Ruck March. So tomorrow I'm gonna go on a Ruck March, and I'm gonna bring you with me. So anybody who wants to tune in for this Ruck March, I'm going to try to do this every week. I think that'd be a good idea. So I'm just going to kind of talk about what a Ruck March is and why I love them. So in the military, right, you know, you do Ruck Marches. You do them in basic, you do them when you get to your unit. You're always out doing these Ruck Marches, and it might be 5, 10 miles, might be 15 miles, might be 12 miles. To graduate from OSUT down at Fort Benning to be an infantryman, you do a 25-mile road march. They call it the bayonet. It takes all day. It's a butt kicker, let me tell you. So anyway, when you've got a Ruck March coming up, you dread it, right? Because these things just kick your butt. And in the military, it's a forced Ruck March, right? Meaning you don't set the pace. The pace is set by somebody else, right? Like your company commander. And that pace is almost always, it's supposed to be, at a pace quickly, so quick that to go any faster, you'd have to be at a jog. I mean, you've really got to step out and you're moving fast. And it's amazing because it builds stamina. It builds some amazing stamina. And a Ruck March could last, you know, as much as 3 hours, 4 hours, something like that. So I'm gonna start at the edge of my town and ruck to the next town and back. It's actually not that far. So anyway, switch arms over here. So anyway, you dread the Ruck March when it's coming up, but man, once you get started on it, man, you're able to clear your head and think. You know, the closest person is, you know, say 3 to 5 meters ahead of you and behind you, something like that. And so, I mean, you're not talking to anybody. You're able to process what's been going on with you. And the peace and the solitude. Of course, now the danger, there is some danger to it, in that you're walking alongside a road. So I'm not going to do it early in the morning. That's normally when you would do it, because people are going to be driving past to go to work and all that. So I'm going to try to do it about maybe late morning, early afternoon tomorrow, and depending how it goes and how well it's received, that'll be my Sunday vlog. So I'm not going to record the entire Ruck March. It'll just be portions of it. So you know, the start and a few segments in the middle, and then, you know, the end of the ruck. So my loadout is going to be it's just over 10 pounds for a tack vest, and then my ruck, which I think is about 35 pounds, 30 to 35 pounds. So I'm looking at about 40 to 45 pounds, which isn't really all that much. And I think it's going to be fun. So the other topic I want to talk about, today's topic, is the little things that you take for granted, and you appreciate them immensely when you don't have them. And this goes for a lot of things, and I've experienced this a lot in my life, you know, especially in the military. You know, in Afghanistan we couldn't get chocolate. So, and I didn't have a single cheeseburger over there, and I wasn't really that big of a cheeseburger guy before. But because I couldn't have it, I craved it, right? Craved chocolate and craved, you know, cheeseburgers. So when I came back for like, I don't know, not quite a year, probably 6 to 9 months, that's all I ate was chocolate and cheeseburgers. It's crazy. Well, I've mentioned this several times in several of my vlogs that, man, my sleep is just not even close to what it needs to be. Or a combination of insomnia and the occasional nightmare, or just sometimes just the inability to sleep whatsoever. And it goes through cycles. So at best I'll get maybe 4, 5, if I'm lucky, 6 hours of sleep in a night. Oftentimes broken, if I'm lucky, you know, 5 or 6 hours. And then it degrades over time, and then it'll be 3 or 4, and then it'll be a couple hours that I'm able to get, and that's where I'm at. A quick, well, let me just say this and then I'll give my little quick thank you. You know, when I'm at 2 hours a night, then I'll go a few days with a couple hours, and then I'll sleep, have a good sleep, and then it'll just continue. Sometimes that 5 or 6 hours straight of sleep I'll get doesn't come for a week or two. So yesterday, that lack of sleep was starting to build up on me. I mean, it had been days on 2 hours or less a night, and I was starting to get a little depressed, just slightly depressed about it, you know, and kind of stressed out, and starting to get irritable. You know, that happens. You know, it's like that old bear, you know, you don't get enough sleep. So there was that. So I went out and walked in this park here for about 4 hours. It was around between 50 and 60 degrees yesterday afternoon. I walked for about 4 hours. I came back. I wasn't depressed, but I was more irritable. I was just not in a very good mood. But fortunately, I did sleep last night, just over 6 straight hours. Oh my gosh, that's a blessing from God. And so the big thank you is to thank everyone I know, any of my viewers that have been praying for me. Man, I want to let you know I appreciate it. Man, sleeping 6 hours for me is like, man, it's like a blessing from God. It's amazing how much better I feel today after actually getting some sleep. And man, it's just amazing. It's just those little things you take for granted, you know. You just take for granted things like, you know, being able to have 3 meals a day, you know, until you can't, you know. Being able to have a good night's sleep until, well, you can't. It's those little things that you learn to appreciate in life. Really appreciate. Even just like the necessities, when you go through a period in your life when you can't get them. So, man, that 6 hours, I think it was probably 6 hours, almost 20 minutes. I was able to sleep. Let me move back over here, the placement of the sun. So anyway, man, that was amazing. Just those little things, man. Little things in life. Don't take them for granted. Don't take for granted the people in your life, because they could be gone tomorrow, man. I mean, that's one thing I've learned is, you know, mortality. You know, don't take your wife for granted. Don't take your husband for granted. Don't take your kids for granted. Don't take it for granted that they're always going to be there. Your friends, your parents, your grandparents, don't take them for granted, because tomorrow they could be gone. Learn to appreciate the people in your life that you love and that love you. Appreciate the blessings in your life. It's so easy to just get down and depressed over, you know, stuff in our lives that we don't have any real control over, and to get depressed over the big stuff, and we miss all the small blessings in our lives. You know, you woke up this morning, you know, you woke up, right? You got food in your belly and a roof over your head. You know what I mean? Let me see. I think I got it zoomed in a little bit. And you got that, you know, all those needs taken care of for you. And life is tough, man, and life is tough for everybody. We've got to learn to stay positive through the hard times, and know that no matter what you're going through, man, God is with you. God is with you. He will give you strength, and you can get through this. You can get through it. It gets better. Man, I'm telling you, there's so many times I've been just, man, at wit's end, and it gets better. So, you know, there's a time in my life where I just couldn't seem to see a light at the end of the tunnel. And you know, when it comes to depression, and the same thing is for anxiety, it's like a snowball rolling downhill, and it becomes circular, and you get depressed, and then you're depressed because you're depressed, or you know, things just get hopeless, and next thing you know, you're in this dark little tunnel. And you just got to learn to stay positive. And the same thing with anxiety, man. You get anxious about a future event, and then that anxiety builds, because now you're anxious because you're anxious, and you start worrying about little things that are just, they're not even important, you know. Look, man, God will provide. God will be there for you. It's not the end of the world, no matter what you're going through. You know, stop and think to yourself, if what I'm going through today, is it going to matter tomorrow? Is it going to matter next week, next month, next year? If not, man, don't fret it, man. Don't fret it. It gets better. It gets better. So, I guess this is going to be it for me today. Well, you know what? I'll walk a little bit further and I'll talk a little bit more. There was some things in the news, but there was that whole Hillary Clinton thing in India and the things she said, and man, I don't even want to think about her. She's irrelevant. Andrew McCabe might get fired today. I think he should have been fired a long time ago. But man, that stuff, it's not gonna matter. For too long, it's just not gonna matter. Man, love and love deeply. Know that God loves you. Know that you are loved by those around you. Things are not as serious as they seem. And look, man, when I start getting depressed, I just start fixating on stuff. And so, I mean, this is advice that I've got to just kind of, you know, use myself, you know. So when I start getting down just a little bit, you know, man, I just have to remind myself, man, this isn't gonna matter. This depression that I'm going through today may be gone tomorrow. few days, whatever, no matter what I'm going through, it's gonna get better. So and just a little update, this supplement, man, I've been trying to find it in local stores and I can't find it, so I'm gonna have to order it today. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that supplement ordered. I should have it maybe beginning of next week at the latest, I don't know. And I'll chronicle how that's gonna work for me. I might be adding some other stuff as well. And we'll see. Those natural remedies, man, crossing my fingers, I hope they actually do me some good. So I don't know, man. Count your blessings. Count your blessings in life. Don't take anything for granted, especially the small stuff. Don't take the people in your life for granted. Life gets better, man. Life gets better. What you're going through today isn't the end of the world. Everybody have a great day. God is love. God bless.